I have to admit my gaming collection is a bit eclectic. I like to collect things primarily that I'm going to play, and I don't like overspending on stuff that, like, there might be just one or two titles on a system that I want to play. And that's why for the longest time I did not have an Atari Jaguar. See, it's a system that I actually played back when it came out. My friend Russ had one, and I'll talk to you a little bit about Russ here some more in a second. But it's one of those systems that, like, I've enjoyed. I've wanted one, but I don't want to pay what they're going for right now. See, typically, you're going to see an Atari Jaguar loose, no games, for $350 to $400. It's just not worth it for me to be able to play like 2 or 3 games. Well, when I was at the Midwest Gaming Classic 2023, I met up with David, one of the vendors there that we bought stuff from in the past, and he had a really good system for sale with games at a decent price. But it was just more than I wanted to spend. I mean, it didn't have Cybermorph. It had Katsumi Ninja, I think, was one game, and 1 or 2 other games I had not heard of. And he gave me a really good offer, and I just couldn't pull the trigger. And I mentioned that in that video there, and after that video went live, one of our viewers actually reached out to me and said, "Hey, I've got an Atari Jaguar. It's my original system from back in the day. I'm not using it. Would you be interested in it?" And I responded like, "Listen, I appreciate the offer," and I really did appreciate the offer. It's like, I'm probably not going to offer you what it's worth, though, because what the going rate is for versus what I'm willing to pay, they're a couple $100 apart. And he said, just, send me what you'd be willing to pay. I told him, he's like, "Great, I'll take it," which was really cool for me. And I shared a couple of shorts on the channel here talking about how I got it, how it works, so on and so forth. So when I got the system, I was pleasantly surprised to see that it came with not just the system, it came with the OEM power supply, it came with 1 controller, a copy of Cybermorph, and a really cool thing that I was not expecting was the fact that it actually came with a set of AV cables. See, normally on the Atari Jaguar, most people just used the RF connection because, well, it was the early 90s when this came out, and that's just what was convenient. And talking about the era where this came out is important here. See, this came out in an era when the Sega Genesis, the Sega Mega Drive, and the Super Nintendo and Super Famicom were basically the kings of the playground, as it were. In Atari, this was their last best effort at doing a home console. See, what they wanted to do was get people to, quote, do the math. See, where the Genesis and the Super Nintendo were 16-bit systems, this promised to be a 64-bit system. And, well, their math was a bit fudgy, shall we say. It's actually twin 32-bit processors inside the system, making it what it is. And I'll admit, it looks great for the day, but the games just weren't very good for back in the day. And now that I have this, and what I've been looking at in getting one of these, is essentially I wanted to play a handful of games. I did want to play Cybermorph, which is the game here. This is the one, Where Did You Learn to Fly, that everybody has seen the AVGN video on. I wanted to get my hands on a copy of Tempest 2000 just because not only is it a fun game, it has an amazing, amazing soundtrack. Alien vs. Predator is another terrific game for the system, and maybe Rayman, but the thing is, Rayman on this versus the Sega Saturn, pretty much the same game, and I honestly think the Sega Saturn has better audio to it. So, like I mentioned, when this came out, my friend Russ, that I went to high school with, he had one, and we dogged him like crazy about it. But we were all pretty secretly jealous. And I've got to say, we were either sophomores or junior in high school because my friend Chris, who I've talked about on the channel recently, had passed away. But Chris would drive me and a couple other people over to Russ's house, and we'd play Jaguar and just have an absolute blast. Now, one of the things about the Jaguar has to be the controller, and it is very Atari. They were known for putting keypads and stuff on the faces of their controllers, and this definitely has that. Now, this, I don't have it here with me right now, and I'm going to be hunting for some of them, but there were graphic overlays that would slide in over the keypad so that you could see the different functionalities as you were playing. D-pad is very good. The overall balance and fit and feel and ergonomics, this is actually a surprisingly comfortable controller. Now, for games that don't utilize the keypad down below, you can actually use a Sega Genesis controller. Same pinout and everything, which is really, really neat. And we did do that back in the day. So we are going to see how we learn how to fly. And we're going to show you a little bit of Cybermorph just to kind of show you what the Jaguar could do. So as you can see here on the demo screen, I've just got my earbud in here so I can listen to the music coming through. You have 9 different planets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different planets. My math was off. We are going to go to Emeth, where we have 6 pods and 6 rescues to go ahead and pull off here. Return control of this world to us by capturing all the pods and bringing them home. We have no information about Pernicia defenses. And then the controls, C moves you backwards, B fires, A moves you forward, and then the keypad does different things, like there is kind of a rear view if you press 8, 5 is a front view, 6 will give you a reticule, that is 7 that gives you a side shot, and there's the other side, there's kind of a flyby, 0. So let us go ahead. In the upper right-hand corner, you can see the enemy, which is due north right there. And then the triangle, the yellow triangle in the lower right-hand corner telling us where our first objective is. So first things first is I've got to say that this, reminds me very much of like a Star Fox 64 if it was more open world. And I do like the fact that as you're flying around and speeding up or slowing down, the ship does kind of morph and whatnot as you are playing, which is a neat aspect. Oh, blowed up, sir. And I thought I saw, there we go, a pod right there. Well done. Well, thank you. There we've got another little pod right there. And an enemy. Whoa, got to watch by him. Got him. Back up a little bit. There we go. Thank you for the compliment of the good work. Got him. And avoided the ground. Got another couple of... Whoa, where are you guys coming from? Ouch, very ouch. So, I mean, this is... I think you can kind of see where I'm coming from, where, kind of a poor man's Star Fox 64 in a couple of ways. I'm not the biggest fan of the throttle up and down, the way that works. I mean, I like the fact that you can do it, but I just don't like the fact that basically the buttons are opposite. Oh, a portal is open. Let us get here. And that's basically what the first level, or a first level on here, looks like. You've got the polygon sort of aesthetic and whatnot on here. As you notice, there's no background music during gameplay, which is kind of a bummer. Be nice to have something break up the monotony of the ship basically flying around. This is one of those, I'm glad that I have this in my system, and I'm glad that I bought it from the original owner, and it's something I can continue to have in my collection and kind of maintain for them. That's how I got my Virtual Boy, was I bought it from the original owner. And one of the reasons why both kind of decided to sell to me was the fact that they knew this wasn't something I'm just buying to flip. I'm buying it because I wanted it in my collection. Like I mentioned, there's only a handful of games I'm really looking to add. Tempest 2000, maybe Rayman, Alien vs. Predator. I might be on the lookout for some of the other ones. One of the things with this is the fact that since it doesn't have a cartridge cover, those pins are open and exposed to dust and dirt. So I may actually 3D print something to go in there to protect it in the future. I may also go ahead and print something out that will allow me to go ahead and store the controller and the games neatly and a little bit more organized. this is one of those that I'm not going down a rabbit hole on. I'm going to pick up a couple games, and that's about it. I am looking forward to picking up the Gen to Jag or Jag to Gen adapter. Basically, what that will allow me to do is what you saw here and what's on screen right now. That is playing through a RetroTink 5X. That's using the composite video from the system, going into that line, multiplying it 5 times. Looks pretty decent. With composite video, I can get even better video quality going into my capture card and everything like that, so it looks even better still. They are available. I do have one on pre-order. They're, I think, either $29.99 or $39.99 is basically what those go for, and I'm looking forward to adding those. And what that will allow me to do is, like I say, it gives me a Genesis Model 2 AV output port on there, so I can go ahead and use HD Retrovision component video cables. I have spare ones. It's going to look great. I'm really looking forward to that on here. Above and beyond that, I mean, like I say, this kind of reminds me a little bit of my Virtual Boy, although there's more games on the Virtual Boy that I have collected. I've almost got a full Japanese set, quite honestly. Jack Bros ain't in my future anytime soon, even the Japanese version. Really high priced. But what I want to know from you down in the comments is, what are kind of like your oddball Holy Grail type systems that you wish that you could add to your collection, or that you have added to your collection? And I'll even throw variants in there, like a Sega Nomad, for example. But let's keep the Nintendo PlayStation out of it. I mean, I've played it. I loved it. I miss you, Terry. I wish you were still with us. But let's kind of keep those out of there. But like the Nomad, the Pluto, I would say borderline between the PlayStation and like the Nomad. The Jaguar CD, a Virtual Boy. Let me know down in the comments, what are kind of the oddball systems that you wish that you had in your collection, or that you're glad that you have in your collection. Now, if you do want to see the video where I was at the Midwest Gaming Classic 2023 and checking this out, I will have that linked for you down below, where you can go ahead and check that out, because we're so close to picking one up at that show.